This is Golf with Jay Delsing. A two-time All-American at UCLA. A participant in nearly 700 PGA Tour events. 7 professional wins to his credit. Over 30 years of professional golf experience. A member of the St. Louis Sports Hall of Fame. This is Golf with Jay Delsing.
This is Golf with Jay Delsing, presented by Daugherty Business Solutions, and we're coming to you from Norwood Hills Country Club. And this is the site, once again, for this year's Ascension Charity Classic. I'm Dan McLaughlin. That's Jay Delsing. Coming up on the show, we'll visit with Ken Bentley, and he is the commissioner of the APGA. The APGA, in conjunction with the Ascension Charity Classic, held their tournament at Glen Echo this past week. We'll tell you what they're all about. Also, you know these guys, Torry Holt, Isaac Bruce from the St. Louis Rams. They were part of the Legends Breakfast to kick off the countdown to the Ascension. We'll sit down with those two here at Norwood. Nick Ragone, who heads up the Ascension Charity Classic, has promised to stop by Norwood as well. We'll visit with him in hour number 2. But first off, Jay, good morning. We have a packed show for the next 2 hours. Looking forward to it.
Danny, we got some studs on the show today. I got the greatest show on turf was so much fun. You know, Danny, when it comes to being entertained by sports, have you watched a more entertaining football team?
Not football.
No.
Not football.
No, we're baseball junkies, and we love that. But football, those guys, I remember that they would hike the ball and that we had no idea where the ball was going.
You better not move when those two were on the field. They were so much fun to watch. Now, our show goes 2 hours. We format it like a round of golf, and we start by waking up on a Sunday morning, grabbing a paper, if you still actually buy one.
I like to still grab a paper.
I do
I'm
too.
a little dinosaurish, though.
I do too, and maybe you go online. So it's the FedEx playoffs. They'll finish the St. Jude Classic today in Memphis. The playoffs, it's really been a great thing for golf.
It really has, Danny. I love what the tour's done. It's given, you have the major season over now, and that takes us a little getting used to with the PGA Championship moving up till May. But now we have the FedEx Cup playoffs. And, when you're down at East Lake in the Tour Championship and the best 30 players from the Tour are hanging out down there, it's really good. And Tigers won in 2019, I think, and Rory won 3 times, looking to be the first 4-time repeat. So it's really, really awesome. And every time I think of TPC Southwind, Danny, I smile because one of those golf courses I just really love to play.
Oh, why do you love it so much?
I knew you were going to ask. I teed myself up for that. I had a 61 one day there, and
61.
I have quite a few scoring records. I made 8 birdies in a row there one year, and
wow,
it's just one of those courses that just things look right. Things had a tendency to go right every now and then, and yeah, just I love that place.
Okay, off topic a bit. The Johnny Manziel documentary dropped this past week on Netflix, and you're saying, now, why would I bring this up? But
I know.
There's a golf connection with Johnny Football, John Rahm, and here's Tony Finau.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I was a big Johnny Manziel fan just from college, obviously following his career, and so when I had the opportunity to play with him, it was a lot of fun. I think Rambo and I played with him, and we're over at Whisper Rock. We played a couple times at Silverleaf, kind of the same circle, I think, of guys that we kind of play together with. And I think that was the biggest reason we kind of got together and teed it up. Heck of a golfer. That was the first thing I'll say. Heck of a golfer and heck of a person. I really enjoyed my time around him. He hits it far. He's got nice action, really strong grip. Clears pretty good. From what I remember, really solid game.
Pretty cool when golfers intersect with entertainment, vice versa, other athletes. So I got to ask you, the best non-golfer, but played golf, but non-PGA Tour player that you played with that comes to mind for you?
Ooh, maybe Brett Hull.
Darn good.
He plus, Danny, he is crazy for the game. He absolutely loves the game. Bernie Federko, when he was a younger man, had a really low handicap. Obviously, these guys have great hands. They perform on ice, and when they get them around a golf club, they know what they're doing.
Those are 2 good ones, and it's a hockey theme on those guys.
It really is.
It's like a slap shot maybe for those two guys off the tee.
I think it is. And with the puck moving and all that other stuff, you put that thing stationary and they're going to hit it pretty solidly.
No question.
Danny, how strong are they?
Well, the lower half, I just look at the lower half. I mean, Brett Hall, his lower half and his thighs are enormous.
They are.
You wouldn't think that, but they are.
They are. Yeah. I can remember one time playing golf with Brett after a Saturday Night Blues game, and I said, you're a little stiff. He goes, man, it's like a rodeo out there. This is the old school days where, you could clutch and grab and whack over the head and things like that. And now you look at a guy funny and you're in the box for 2 minutes. But it's probably Brett Hall. He can really, really hit it.
Interesting story about Brett very quickly. I asked one of the medical personnel of the St. Louis Blues, I said, who is the toughest guy that you've dealt with? And he's been there for many, many years. And without hesitation, he said Brett Hall. And you wouldn't think, maybe it was Chase or Twist or Reed Lowe. You think about the guys that are out there dropping the gloves all the time. He said, no. Brett Hall goes in the slot every single night and pays the price to score those goals. He's the toughest player I've seen.
And I remember when I was a kid and I was like, Bernie, I've never seen, because Bernie's such a good friend of ours and such an easy guy to talk to, and he'd take all my dumbass questions about hockey. But I said, Bernie, I've never seen anything like Brett. And he goes, well, there's very few people. He could change the game with one shot.
Absolutely.
And it's from anywhere on the ice. So he, Danny, Brett smashes it. His lower body, he smashes it. We had him on the show. We need to get him back on the show. He talked about how much he loved the game from a very early age, and I think he first started as a freshman in college or something.
Interesting. Let's tip our cap, and we're going to tip our cap to the APGA that ran through town this past week. It's a wonderful association. We're going to find out more about that with Ken Bentley, who is the commissioner of the APGA. But I know in talking with you prior to coming on the air right around 7:45 this morning, you said, I got to tip my cap to those guys.
Absolutely. First of all, Christian Heavens and those guys, I just love the opportunities that the APGA is creating. It's interesting, Danny, we seem to have more African Americans on the PGA Tour in my generation than we do right now, and that's got to change.
We need to ask Ken about that too.
Absolutely. My hats off to the APGA for that. I really appreciate what they're doing, hosting the event at Glen Echo. I think it's a great move this year, Danny, to give them a separate date, to let them be a standalone event and not be during the week of the Ascension Charity Classic. And so, kudos to Glen Echo. Michael and his staff over there did a great job. Katie in the clubhouse, they did a great job. I emceed the
you had a clinic there, didn't you?
The junior clinic and the banquet. And I want to thank the Dean Team Volkswagen of Kirkwood and Colin Burnt. 314-966-0303 is Colin's number. Dean Team Volkswagen of Kirkwood. Folks, if you need anything, any kind of vehicle, Colin's your guy. He's terrific.
Up next, we go from the pro shop. So you got to get ready for golf, meaning you probably stop in, you check in, then you look at merchandise. It's been rainy in the Midwest here in August. It was rainy this past week. We're going to talk about rain gear when you go out to play. That's coming up. It's Golf with Jay Delsing, presented by Daugherty Business Solutions.
This has been PGA Tour News and Notes. Next, we head into the pro shop on Golf with Jay Delsing.
Daugherty Business Solutions, the title sponsor of the Golf with Jay Delsing show, has been enhancing the business of our customers for the last 37 years. How do we do it? Through our expertise in technology, better use of data and analytics, artificial intelligence, and machine learning. We also roll up our sleeves and collaborate. We build applications and effectively communicate with our partner clients to bring their goals and objectives to the finish line. Our award-winning Access Point program is a community game changer. With nearly 100 students in the program, mostly young African-American females are making between $55,000 and $60,000 per year before graduating from high school. That's right, $55,000 to $60,000 a year as a high school senior. That's when they begin training. CEO Ron Daugherty believes talent is equally distributed, but access to the opportunity is not. So here is Access Point, providing more and more opportunity for those in and around our community. That's Daugherty Business Solutions, changing our community for the better.
Hi, this is Adam Betts from Family Golf and Learning Center. At FGLC here in Kirkwood, we feature a double-decker driving range, 2 large grass tees with Tahoma Bermuda grass. You want to work on your short game? We have a short game area too, which features a 20,000 square foot green, 3 bunkers, and Zoysia surrounds. Also at Family Golf and Learning Center, don't forget about our 9-hole par 3 course, the indoor TrackMan simulators, and our performance center. If you're looking for the best golf instruction, regardless of skill, we can help. Find out more at FamilyGolfOnline.com. That's FamilyGolfOnline.com. Family Golf and Learning Center. We make St. Louis better at golf.
This is Dan McLaughlin, inviting you to the 21st Annual Dan McLaughlin Golf Tournament to benefit the Special Education Foundation. This tournament has raised over $5 million, and 100% of the money raised has gone to children with special needs in our community. To sponsor, volunteer, or to play in the event on October 9th at Norwood Hills Country Club, please visit sef-stl.org. I'll see you on October 9th at Norwood Hills Country Club.
If you're in the market for a new or used vehicle, any make or model, then you need to visit the Dean Team Volkswagen of Kirkwood. They are the official vehicle provider of the Golf with Jay Delsing show. My daughter and I both drive vehicles supplied by Colin and the Dean Team Volkswagen of Kirkwood. And the reason we have them is because we know we can trust them. They made the car buying experience painless and very easy. Their customer service is second to none. They provided my daughter with a loaner car when her Passat needed repairs. Every single step of the car buying experience was taken care of for us. You can reach Colin at 314-966-0303, and he will answer all of your questions and put your mind at ease. The Dean Team Volkswagen of Kirkwood has new or pre-owned vehicles to be purchased or leased, whichever you prefer. Once you visit the Dean Team Volkswagen on Manchester and Kirkwood, you'll become a customer for life because they'll treat you like family. The Dean Team Volkswagen of Kirkwood, the official vehicle provider of the Golf with Jay Delsing show.
Hi, this is Peter Jacobson, and you're listening to Golf with Jay Delsing.
This is From the Pro Shop. A look at the latest in equipment, apparel, and innovations in the game of golf. Now back to Jay and Dan.
Golf with Jay Delsing rolls on. Again, we're on 8 to 10 every Sunday morning. Later in the show, right around the corner, we visit with Ken Bentley, the commissioner of the APGA, Isaac Bruce, Torry Holt. We got confirmation that Nick Ragone will stop by here at Norwood Hills Country Club. And Jay, I thought it'd be interesting. That's Jay Delsing. I'm Dan McLaughlin. We've had so much rain in the area, in the Midwest. It rained again this past week on the APGA on one of the days that they were having their tournament. It does beg the question about rain gear and being prepared. And there's been innovations in that in the game of golf.
Oh, Danny, when we were kids, I don't know if you ever had those. My dad I was always wearing hand-me-downs, but I had some windbreaker that was, it may have broken the wind a little bit, but it certainly wasn't water resistant, and it didn't do anything when you got out in the rain. But they have, I think it's called a Stormtrooper is the brand. It is phenomenal. Lightweight. So here's the challenge. Even back in the day, they could make a super heavy rain gear type style thing, but you don't want a big heavy thing, especially in the summertime if you got to play out in the rain and you're not getting lightning. So Puma came up with a Stormtrooper that's super lightweight, but it's also water resistant, and so it keeps you dry. Zero Resistance has several different thicknesses, Danny, that you can wear, and some guys don't like this is really funny, but Corey Pavin cannot play golf in his long sleeves. He can't play golf in a sweater. So whenever it
how do you do
cold,
with the British?
He didn't play well, and
Right.
he'd wear these vests all the time. And as he got older,
I do remember him doing that.
Yeah, and as he got older, he started, wearing sweaters. We're like, dude, what do you mean you can't? He's like, I don't want anything on my arms.
Crazy.
Like, what are you gonna do when it rains? He's like, I'm gonna get wet.
So there is equipment, though, that it makes you feel comfortable. It's going to be rain resistant to an extent, but the idea is that you're still going to be comfortable. You're not going to feel like you're completely, there's not constraints with the equipment that you're wearing.
Exactly. That's the biggest thing. You don't want to feel restricted in your turn or anything, because then your game's going to go to hell, but you can stay dry. And Danny, the biggest thing, remember this, The rain is just a nuisance for tour players. It softens the fairways, making them effectually wider, right? So you have a bigger effective area to hit to. The greens, it's like throwing darts. And also on the putting surfaces, you can take the breakout. For a professional golfer, when you see rain, it's a shift gears, man. You got to start making birdies. It's a nuisance, but the biggest challenge is lots of towels. Did you see in the British Open how many gloves Brian Harman had up inside his umbrella? Danny, as soon as it started raining, I'd get that umbrella from my caddy. One towel was always designated. It stayed dry. It stayed out of everything, and that was for my hands. And then I'd load my gloves up there. And the gloves, they get wet when you're out in the rain. You take it off, put it up there. It'll dry in a couple minutes. You put on another one. I'd have 5 or 6 gloves up there going through those when it was raining and staying dry. And that rain, you almost started welcoming it as a touring pro.
We call this From the Pro Shop, and last week I went to the Pro Shop. It was just a week ago with Jay Delsing. We were playing golf, and let me tell you something, folks. If it starts to rain or gets cloudy, Jay is off the course, but you have a good reason as to why.
Danny, we were playing. It was just kind of a dodgy day, cloudy, and then it started raining, and we're like, should we play? It wasn't raining enough at that point to chase us off, right? And so all of a sudden, we're walking across, where were we, the ninth fairway?
Ninth fairway.
And we got the rumble right above. I mean, it was directly above us.
Said, I'm out of here.
I turned around. I'm like, guys, you can keep playing. I'm out. Danny, in the 1993 U.S. Open up in Hazeltine in Minneapolis, I'm walking down the 10th fairway. I'm playing with Bobby Watkins and Dave Rummels, and it is the worst weather I've ever played golf in. And, I grew up in Norwood. We played through everything.
Sure.
We should have never been out there. We played through everything. And I'm like, guys, so there's a clause in the rules of golf that most people may not be aware of, but if you feel like your life's in danger or there's some imminent danger, you are allowed to vacate. And I grabbed my caddy and I said, guys, I'm out. This is no good. There's no point in us being out here. No good. Danny, get in the clubhouse. Within 15, 18 minutes of us leaving, again, we're walking down. We'd hit our tee shots on 10, walking down towards the 10th green. The 11th tee, 7 people struck and killed by lightning.
That's scary, boy. That's terrible. And we talked to Lee Trevino about being struck by lightning.
Wasn't
scary.
that at the 75 Western Open at Butler National, where, Danny, the lightning actually hit the pond over on 13, I think, and ran up onto the green. And was it Dave or Mike Hill, one of the Hill brothers?
One of the Hill brothers,
and also
can't remember the other one, but Lee just talked about how incredibly scary it was, and it changed his life and changed his golf life forever.
I know, and I can tell you, so many of us were affected by that Hazeltine moment that the PGA Tour suddenly came up with a weather guard system. So there's a Thor guard, I think is the brand name of the weather system that the tour uses. Back in the day, Danny, the tour officials used to call the airport. They're like, nope, it's 30,000 feet and everything looks good. And that's how they got their weather. Crazy. Back in the day. I mean, or look out the window.
Well, we call this From the Pro Shop, and one of the things that we also do is we get news, events that are either coming to town or events that you can play in on a charitable side, and we have one coming up. It's called Birdies for Breathing. And
this is a great cause. The Pescos are good friends of mine. Guys, this is at St. Clair Country Club, a foundation for cystic fibrosis, September 18th at St. Clair Country Club. Their sponsorship levels, gold, silver, bronze. There's a happy hour. Just get involved. It's for a great cause. They've raised over $100,000 in 2 years. Danny, you've had a tournament almost your entire professional career that's raised over $5 million. You know how hard it is to start these things. My hat's off to these guys. It's called Birdie for Breathing, birdieforbreathing@gmail.com. You can reach them at 314-607-7202. That's 314-607-7202. Birdies for Breathing. Get involved, folks.
Another thing I want to bring up before we hear from Ken Bentley, who is the commissioner of the APGA, you and I are planning a trip to Dalhousie, and we've talked to Cord, we've talked to Billy, we've talked to all the guys down there.
Can't wait.
I couldn't believe that you haven't played that yet. You've been on the grounds, but you haven't played Dalhousie just yet.
Can't wait. So it's a national club. It's what? Less than 90 minutes from us, Danny. And
right down 55.
It's got national members from all across the country and some parts of the world. My brother, Bart, lives in Florida. He went to school down at Cape. This thing is just outside of Cape Girardeau, and he's going to join. It's a really super cool place. There's cottages. There's homes that you can stay in. You get a bunch of guys down there, have a little Ryder Cup sort of format, get some
bars,
dinner
restaurants, so everything's on site.
You stay right on campus. It's fantastic. Billy Morrow, great guy. He does a great job up there.
He certainly does. So we move on Golf with Jay Delsing. That was from the Pro Shop. We'll head to On the Range. And when we come back, we visit with Ken Bentley. You've heard about the APGA. He is the commissioner of that. The APGA. A talk with Ken is coming up.
That was from the Pro Shop. Next, we'll take you on the range. This is Golf with Jay Delsing.
I want to thank the Gateway section of the PGA again for supporting the Golf with Jay Delsing show. This is their third year of support. Over 300 men and women in our area supporting golf and making our golf experiences so much better. Through PGA Reach, PGA Hope, the Junior League, and the list goes on and on. These are just examples of programs and charitable aspects, different opportunities that our section supports and enhances in our community. Whether it's a driving range somewhere, your country club, or whatever it is, and it has to do with golf, our section and their members will have their hands in it and involved in it. Our professionals are there making the game better for everyone. We want to thank the Gateway section of St. Louis.
For the best in Italian cuisine in St. Louis, look no further than Paul Manno's, located in Chesterfield. It's traditional Italian cooking, and their best ingredient, it's their tradition. It's cooking like Paul's grandmother used to make, and like his mother still prepares today. There are no corners cut at Paul Manno's. From greeting you at the door to the pasta you'll share with your family, Paul Manno's is committed to bringing you their very best anytime you share a meal at their place. It's Paul Manno's, located in Chesterfield.
You all know by now that Marcone is a fantastic community steward. From donating service dogs for our wounded heroes in need to supporting our men and women first responders through the Backstoppers. This year at the 2023 Ascension Charity Classic, Marcone will once again sponsor the military viewing deck on the 18th hole at Norwood Hills. This is a specifically designed area for our military, police and fire, and first responders. Marcone will have complimentary food and beverage as well as ample seating for our friends to watch some great PGA Tour champions golf from a perfect vantage point. And did I mention that entrance into the Ascension Charity Classic the entire week is complimentary? That's right, it's completely free for our men and women in the military, police and fire, and first responders. Reach out to us at ascensioncharityclassic.com or me at jay@jdelsinggolf.com for more information and tickets. It's Marcone, proud sponsor of the Golf with Jay Delsing show.
This is Paul Lazinger, and you're listening to Golf with Jay Delsing.
This is Golf with Jay Delsing. To connect with Jay, log on to jdelsinggolf.com now. Let's go on the range with Jay and Dan.
Golf with Jay Delsing rolls on. We're going to hear from Torry Holt, Isaac Bruce of the St. Louis Rams in just a moment. Also coming up in hour number 2, Nick Ragone from the Ascension Charity Classic. We're originating from Norwood Hills Country Club. That's Jay Delsing. I'm Dan McLaughlin. And we welcome in Ken Bentley. His 14th year as the commissioner of the APGA Tour. And Ken, welcome back to St. Louis, and thanks for joining us on this Sunday morning.
Well, thanks you guys for having me. St. Louis is such a great sports town that it's always a pleasure to come back here.
Ken, I got to tell you, I just love what you're doing with the APGA Tour, and Christian Evans has been a buddy of mine. It's someone that Danny and I pull for every week wherever you guys are. Let the listeners know a little bit about the APGA Tour and what's going on and why it's so special.
Well, Christian Evans is a special person to me, too. He's one of the guys that really helped grow the APGA, and I think he's what the APGA is all about. We started this 14 years ago as a way to give African Americans and other minorities just the opportunity to realize their dreams in golf, to make it to the PGA Tour. So we started with 3 tournaments, largely on inner city golf courses. And if you fast forward to today, We've got 18 tournaments around the country, one in Bermuda. We've got over $1 million in prize and bonus money. Our players are playing much better. We surveyed our players a few years ago, and we found that most were playing on first tee courses. They hadn't been fitted for golf clubs. And so they were out there competing with not the tools that they needed to be successful. So we started a player development program. Now we provide all those resources for the players in our player development program. We buy them clubs. We pay for club membership. We pay for their lessons. So we're giving these guys the tools that they need to be successful.
I would assume it's amazing for them when they say and get to see the chance to play in, like this past week at Glen Echo, or some of the other exposure that they get, because it's tough to get exposure, as you know, in this game, but you're allowing them to have that process done.
Oh, yeah, definitely. The courses we play, I think, rival any tour outside the PGA Tour. As you mentioned, Glen Echo, but we also have a tournament on, I think, 4 or 5 courses that host major championships. Valhalla, Torrey Pines, we're at Pebble Beach. So there's all these iconic courses that our guys get a chance to play on. And so what we really try to do is to give them, as much as possible, a PGA Tour experience. And they certainly got that at Glen Echo. The club was so supportive. The volunteers turn out. They light the Olympic flame. And it's an event that our guys really look forward to coming back to every year.
Tim O'Neill is an African-American that played in the Ascension Charity Classic last year. And I've had the pleasure of knowing Tim, for probably 15 or 20 years. He's a guy that's doing really well. He's fully exempt on the Champions Tour this year. A good role model for some of these young men.
Oh, definitely. Tim played on our tour when we first started, and he played all the tournaments, but he was the best player on our tour. But I think the thing that really made Tim stand out is he was a great mentor. You'd see him on the putting green helping guys. He was such a professional that he taught our guys how to be a professional. And Tim is really an example of perseverance. Here's a guy that his Q school mishaps have been legendary, and he never quit, and he never stopped being professional and taking the game as seriously as he could. And now it's paid off. He's doing well on the Champions Tour, and I expect him to win on the Champions Tour.
Ken Bentley is our guest, and he is the commissioner of the APGA Tour, the Advocates Professional Golf Association. Ken, give us a little bit about your background and why you made this such a passion for you in your life.
Well, I grew up in L.A., in South Central L.A., and ironically, I got into tennis. And back when I was growing up, there weren't many people playing tennis. I really didn't have the resources to compete. I was able to get a college scholarship, and there's a story that I love to tell. I was the first African-American player at the University of California, Santa Barbara. And one day I got a knock on my door, and it was my political science professor. And he was one of 3 African-American professors at UCSB at the time. And he had these 2 tennis rackets. And he said, I don't know anything about tennis, but I heard that you were an African-American playing tennis at UC Santa Barbara, and I wanted you to have all the tools you need to be successfknow. So I went to a tennis shop and asked them to give me the 2 most expensive rackets they had. And he handed
Wow.
them to me. And so, and I didn't know this guy at all. I was just in his class. And that stuck with me. And so when I had a chance to start this, I started playing golf. I met Adrian Stills, who told me his story. He had played on the PGA Tour, and I asked him why there weren't more African Americans on tour. And he said it was a matter of opportunity. And if he felt like if we could start something and give these guys the opportunity, we could change the face of golf. And that's how we got started, just simply from that conversation with the 3 tournaments and to where we are today.
Ken, I had the pleasure of playing with Adrian. He is a great guy, and no surprise that he's such an advocate. I wanted to ask you, when I grew up and I came on the tour, I got my card in 1984. We had so many more African Americans playing, and there was Jim Thorpe and Calvin Pete and Lee Elder and the list just went on and on. There were, do you think it's kind of the caddy programs that have died out? What do you think the reasoning is in for not more African Americans playing on tour right now?
Well, I think the caddy program had a lot to do with it, because if you look at all those guys you mentioned, they started out as caddies. And I had a chance to talk to them over the years. They all started as caddies, and they had the opportunity to learn the game as a caddy, and also they had an opportunity to play on the courses that they caddied on. So I think that helped. And then the old United Golf Association tour, which we modeled our tour after, gave those guys a chance to play tournaments and develop their games until they got to the PGA tour. So I think that's a big part of it. I think the other thing is that golf has changed so much from when those guys played. I mean, there was no technology to it. Just the game was just completely different. So you could go out, play, and they had a chance to play on those courses. So they could compete sort of on equal footing. Now the game's changed so much that you need TrackMan, or you need Full Swing, or you need all these opportunities to travel. Equipment is so expensive. So I think those costs really have changed a lot. But I think the big reason is the caddy program went away, and that just killed the opportunity.
Ken Bentley, the commissioner of the APGA Tour, is with us, and they were competing this past week at Glen Echo in Ascension, who's the main driving force behind that. How about current players that are on the PGA Tour, Ken, that are intimately involved with this or have some type of involvement to try to help these players graduate to a mini tour, the Korn Ferry, and ultimately the PGA Tour?
Well, we have a few guys that played on our tour that are now playing on the PGA Tour. And I think of Joseph Bramlett. When he was injured, he didn't really have a chance to play anywhere and didn't have status anywhere. So he came on the APGA Tour, played our tournaments. Tony Finau played our Tour Championship. Harold Varner played in our tournament in Tampa. So we've gotten support from those guys, mainly from just mentoring our guys. They've been available to talk to them. Billy Horschel's been amazing. Billy started hosting a tournament 3 years ago, and it was Billy's idea. He approached us, his team approached us about hosting a tournament. Billy gave everyone his phone number at the first tournament, something I didn't advise him to do, but he wanted the guys to feel like, because I know these guys will call, and they have. And they call Billy all the time. Billy calls them. When our guys get an exemption, Billy plays a practice round with them. So Billy's been amazing. His tournament was first held at Sawgrass for 2 years. Now it's going to be a concession this October. I know these guys aren't on the PGA Tour now, but we got significant contributions from Bryson DeChambeau, from Charles Howells helped us, Patrick Reed. So a number of PGA Tour players have stepped up and really contributed to the APGA. I think that the thing that's really great for me is I've had a chance to play in some pro-ams through my being on the board at Farmers Insurance. It's amazing when I meet these guys, they've all heard of the APGA. They've got a million questions, and the last thing they leave me with is, if you need any help, just let me know. And that's the thing that's the most gratifying to me.
Ken, Darty Business Solutions is the title sponsor of our show, and they were the presenting sponsor, of the APGA event at Glen Echo. And they have this program called Access Point, which is mostly African-American females that are making between $55,000 and $60,000 a year in these tech field jobs where they start training them right out of high school. And I really feel like St. Louis has had because of this business community, Ascension and Darty and some of the others, I know Centene is a big supporter as well, have really kind of tried to lend their weight, behind this effort. I don't know if you've seen that in other cities as much, but we're pretty proud of that here in St. Louis.
Well, no, we haven't seen it from a local point of view like we have in St. Louis. Nick Ragone at Ascension has just been amazing. I mean, he's just totally embraced the APGA Tour. And as you mentioned, the program that Doherty has, I learned about it last year at the press conference we had, and what they do in this community and how passionate they are about changing this community is amazing. I mean, I love to see that program rolled out across the country. I think we would change a lot of lives and give people a lot more hope if we could have that program all across the United States. But St. Louis is unique in that. I mean, the community is so amazing here. It's such a great sports town. When I was here for the press conference, I'm a big Dodger fan, and when I said it at the press conference, I got booed.
Yeah, that'll do it.
So, no, it is an amazing sports town.
Hey, Ken, I would imagine that young kids, African-American kids, see this tour and they think, you know what, I can do this. And typically that has not been their sport, but I'm sure you give them a lot of hope and a lot of guidance to say, yeah, I can be the next tennis player like you played, or I can be the next golfer, which historically has not been the sports that they've been involved in.
Well, that's true. We were involved in a clinic at Torrey Pines a couple of years ago. Really illustrates your point. Willie Mack and Tim O'Neill were doing the clinic with Billy Horschel, Ricky Fowler. Those guys, Ricky Fowler and Billy Horschel, the kids had seen on TV. But there were 3 African-American kids out of the 50 kids that were at the clinic. And those 3 kids chose to be in Willie Mack and Tim's line the whole 2 hours of the clinic. And the kids had the opportunity to self-select on which line and which player they wanted to take a lesson from. And those 3 kids stayed with Tim and Willie. And that just shows you they had never seen up close an African-American professional golfer. And it was so meaningful to them to see those guys. And so you're right. I think our guys are an inspiration. When you go to a number of inner city golf courses, you know, they don't talk about Jordan Spieth or those guys. They'll talk about Tim O'Neill, and they'll talk about Willie Mack, and they talk about Marcus Bird. And those are the names that inner city kids look up to now.
It reminds me of at the Ascension Charity breakfast where Torry Holt and Isaac Bruce were honored, and Danny Mack did a great job of emceeing. We had a young lady from the PGA Junior League step up in front of 200 people. Danny, what was she, 15, 16 years old?
If that.
And she knocked it out of the park, Ken. And she was an African-American young lady and was so eloquent and so poised and talked about how I told my friends I'm playing golf, and they're like, what? Yeah, that's what old people do.
Right.
I'm like, you know, and so even if it's, and I know this is how Darty it feels about their access program, which, Ken, by the way, is being rolled out in Atlanta and Minneapolis as we speak. If you can turn one young boy's or young girl's attention to something different, you know, a different opportunity, this is all worth it.
Oh, very much so. Because all too often when you're in the inner city, and I think back to my time growing up, as crazy as it seems, I had never been to the beach, or I hadn't been on an airplane until I went on a recruiting trip. I was a senior in high school, never been on an airplane, you know, never really been outside of my community. And tennis really opened up the world to me. I had an opportunity to just go places I never would have an opportunity otherwise. And I think the same thing for golf. We're showing these kids a different way, we're opening their eyes to a whole different world. I remember a teacher one time told me that a book can let you travel all over the world. Well, I think a set of golf clubs can do the same thing. It can let you travel all over the world and see a world that's completely different than the one you're currently in.
Well, Ken, you're doing an amazing job. We can't say thank you enough for stopping in St. Louis and stopping on our show on this Sunday morning. We know you're busy, and keep doing what you're doing. It's great to see these kids have the chance to play this great game of golf.
Well, thank you guys for having me, and thanks for all the support, and hopefully we can tee it up the next time I'm in St. Louis.
You can count on
We'd
that.
We'd love to do it, Ken. Thanks again. Don't stop anytime soon, man. We want to keep this thing going.
That is Ken Bentley, the commissioner of the APGA Tour, and this is Golf with Jay Delsing, presented by Darty Business Solutions. Isaac Bruce, Torry Holt, Nick Ragone, all coming up on this Sunday morning. Stay with us. It's Golf with Jay Delsing.
That was On the Range. Up next, we tee it up as we head to the front nine. You're listening to Golf with Jay Delsing.
Powers Insurance and Risk Management is a family-owned local business that's been helping our community for over 200 years. In the always confusing world of insurance, Powers Insurance provides clarity, exceptional service, and the latest in cutting-edge products to deliver the highest quality in property and casualty coverage, as well as strategic planning consultation services. Powers Insurance and Risk Management will partner with you. That's right, partner with you to customize the right coverage for you and your family. Tim Davis, the Chief Operations Officer, will personally sit down and talk you through the ins and outs of your policies. They are experts at helping you control your workplace expenses and helping to guarantee the safety of you and your employees and their needs. You can visit them at powersinsurance.com. That's powersinsurance.com for all of your insurance needs.
Family Golf and Learning Center. No matter your age or skill level, Family Golf and Learning Center, located in Kirkwood, has something for you. They've got it all. PGA and LPGA instruction, double-decker driving range, par 3 golf course, TrackMan simulators, a large short game green design to help you with all your shots around the green, bunkers, rough, and Zoysia fairway pitching. And now open, the Tahoma Bermuda Grass Tees, the best turf to hit from in St. Louis. It's all at Family Golf and Learning Center. To schedule a lesson or to find out more, visit FamilyGolfOnline.com. That's FamilyGolfOnline.com. Family Golf and Learning Center. We make St. Louis better at golf.
Hey, this is Jay Delsing, and we golfers are always looking for ways to improve our games. For me, that means I want the very best and the very latest in equipment and in technology. The place for me is Pro-Am Golf in Brentwood. Tom DeGrand opened Pro-Am Golf Center in 1975, and ever since then, he and his family have provided St. Louis with the finest in golf equipment, instruction, and the latest in the ever-changing world of golf technology. Whether you are a scratch golfer looking to find the latest in rangefinders or a newcomer looking to find your first set of clubs, Pro-Am Golf has just what you're looking for. You say you're looking to get yourself custom fitted for a new set of clubs? You need to call TJ. He has fit me personally, and he is the best in town. If you mention my name, CJ will take 50% off the already low fitting price. So if you need anything from golf balls to a new pair of shoes or a lesson from Tom, who, by the way, has been helping St. Louisans play better golf for over 45 years, Pro-Am Golf in Brentwood is the place for you. You can also visit them at proamusa.com. That's Pro-Am Golf.
The Legends of Golf return to St. Louis in 2023. You won't want to miss one of the strongest fields in golf. Ernie Els, Steve Stricker, Bernard Longer, John Daly, and many more when they compete for the 2023 Ascension Charity Classic title, September 5th through the 10th at historic Norwood Hills Country Club. All proceeds benefit area charities. Together, we were able to donate over $1 million to those most in need last year. Visit AscensionCharityClassic.com.
This is The Front Nine, presented by the Ascension Charity Classic. To learn more, visit AscensionCharityClassic.com.
This is Golf with Jay Delsing, presented by Doherty Business Solutions. That's Jay Delsing. I'm Dan McLaughlin. And what a pleasure it is. We got one Hall of Famer from the National Football League. He's been inducted into Canton. That's the great Isaac Bruce. We have another one very close. He's on his way, and that's Torry Holt. And guys, you were part of the Legends Breakfast to really kick off the Ascension Charity Classic. And Isaac, I'll start with you. What's it like to be back in town and to be a part of that event this past week?
Well, it's always great to be back here in St. Louis. A lot of great memories. Be able to be here, create more memories, and just everything that's happening from a charity standpoint. Just to be a part of that. I mean, we've been doing that since I got here in 1995, and it's always a pleasure.
Well, Torry, we're going to get into whether or not you should be in the Hall of Fame. By the way, he should be. Okay,
yes.
That's a slam dunk.
Absolutely.
But let's ask you, too, what's it like to be back in St. Louis?
No, it's awesome, man. You know, it's always good to come back to St. Louis, a place that's that holds near and dear to my heart for sure. And, you know, to be able to continue to come back and support what's happening in the community, what's happening in North County, raising awareness, raising dollars to be able to help young folks, you know, be all that they can be. And it's right on brand with Isaac and I. He has his own foundation. I have my own foundation. This is something that we've been doing for years, so it was a no-brainer to be able to come back and to support.
Guys, one of the things that's so impressive that not enough people know about what you do for the communities. I mean, Isaac, you've been retired for quite a while, and Torry, you've been out of the game. To come back to do things like this, your foundations, it's a big part of golf, but the NFL does great things like this around the country.
Yeah, they do. They give us opportunities to go out in different communities, St. Louis being one of them, our hometowns being another. But, I think from a foundation standpoint, from what we do personally to what the NFL does, I just think it's a big avenue for us to give back and to put back into the very communities that we came out of.
How about for you, Torry, and tell us about both of you guys, but I'll start with Torry, your foundation and what you're doing to give back.
Yeah, our foundation is Hope Brothers Foundation. It supports young kids with a parent or guardian that's battling cancer. We provide educational, emotional, and peer empathy for those families. We've been now on our mission for 23 years now, and with the hopes to continue to impact those families and lend support to those families. We all know someone that has dealt with cancer or maybe even dealing with cancer, and when cancer penetrates the home, it changes the dynamics of the home fairly quickly. So with our help, as well as the local hospitals back in North Carolina, as well as hospitals here in St. Louis, we're able to provide a safe haven for those families to go and to learn and find better ways to cope with now cancer now penetrating the home.
What I love, too, the summer months come, and all of a sudden you hear the name Isaac Bruce. He's running around on a football field helping kids, and I know that's something that your foundation is very proud of.
Yeah, the Isaac Bruce Foundation, we do a football camp every summer here in the city of St. Louis. But also we have a program, Flight 300 program, where we provide transportation to students who can't afford to get to their cities where they're doing their studies and academics. And we do dorm decor, we do Uber rides, and some of the participants of the program, this is their very first time being on an airline or being on a plane. So we kind of bridge that gap between school and the home.
It's amazing.
The stories you guys tell and the way that your foundations are formed are all direct impacts of things that happened to us in our lives. You guys, I grew up here in North St. Louis, and to see the area go the way it's gone, it's really been tough. To have a golf tournament come back and then to have guys, Hall of Fame guys, come back to support it says a lot about you guys. It also says a lot about the community in the North County area, man. If we can help it out, like we're doing, it means a ton to me.
Yeah. No, it gives the young kids an opportunity to still believe and have hope that they can, achieve and have success. And you look at all those the folks that was in that room this morning and the impact that they're making to be able to create awareness, obviously to be able to raise funds and resources to get back to our young folks, I think is incredible. So just to be in that mix, just to be associated with that group, I think is fantastic. It speaks to the commitment to the community. And again, seeing these young golfers, and particularly young African-American golfers, be able to penetrate the space and feel like they belong, and also have the support that they need, I think is fantastic.
It's interesting, Torry, because a lot of times you hear people say, I can't play golf because it's a wealthy kid sport.
Right.
It's not true. I grew up with no money, fourth of 5 kids, and grew up playing with my mom's clubs on a Muni. If you want it, it's out there for you. And what that young lady said, that the young woman that stood up, that's been in the junior league, she was impressive. She stood up in front of 200 people.
Very awesome.
Yeah, so it's phenomenal. And then to have you guys, football players, are much more going to be recognized in the African-American and the North County community than a golfer will be, because they're like, these kids don't think they can play golf, but you get one person and it can change the tide a little bit.
No, I agree. I mean, and that's what it's all about. I mean, she's a trailblazer. She's a trendsetter, for sure. And just listening to her and the maturity and how she presents herself and even the way that she moves, this is a very confident young lady that feels like she can penetrate this space and have success in this space.
Both of you guys look like if we suited up right now, you're both playing in the NFL.
Oh, man.
But I'm not sure you guys can swing the golf club. So who's a golfer out of this group with Isaac Bruce and Torry Holt? Any golfers? You guys play?
Well, first of all, if we just had the, dress the part, I think we both can look it. But as far as making contact, putting a club to the ball, I mean, it has to be Torry. I mean, I can clean it up. I can drive him to the next hole.
Right. But, so I know I got a good driver and a guy that can putt.
Yeah. So.
I don't play golf with as much regularity as some of our peers, some of our teammates. Like London Fletcher plays quite a bit Orlando's, I think, is taking the game up.
I was just going to tell you, Danny and I just ran into Orlando and
Yeah.
had his 2 boys with him. You never seen 3 bigger men out there playing golf.
I'm trying to figure out who sized him up for his clubs.
I told Orlando, I said, and we know each other, and I said, if you hit into our group, you're going to have a real problem. And then I ran.
Yeah, exactly.
He still looks like he can play. So.
Yeah. He's, you know what? One of the things that I and I said it up on the stage earlier today that I admire about these guys is how they carry themselves and they take such pride in making sure that they look the part, sound the part, ultimate professionals.
Yeah.
And Isaac is that, Orlando is that, Marshall, Kurt, the list goes on and on, of how professional that these young men are, that these guys are. But golf is a good sport. Like I said, I don't get up every morning wanting to go play golf. Spending 4.5, 5 hours a day playing golf is not what I want to do.
And you guys got young families too.
Yeah, and
so
I got young kids, and so putting that amount of time into golf I'm still not there yet. But when I'm out there, I enjoy playing.
What is it like to come back to St. Louis? I know we have limited time with both you guys. I'll start with you, Isaac, but does it conjure up memories of being on the football field, being at the Dome, or is it more like, that's a chapter in my life, I closed it, and I'm looking to do different things here in St. Louis?
Without a doubt, I always say that that my dreams are bigger than my memories, but my memories are still there. I mean, when you're driving down 70 or when you're on 270, 170, you headed towards downtown. I mean, some of those same memories start coming up about driving down on Sunday morning, getting ready to play a game. And sometimes just being downtown and you see the actual Dome where a lot of great memories, great plays actually happen in that building. So, Memphis and Missouri will be playing in that Dome here coming real soon. So I have a chance to be back in that Dome and see some football. But, yeah, the memories are still there. They're fun memories. Do we move on? Yeah, we have to. But at the same time, I think we still have those memories of the great games that were played in there.
I'm sure you feel the same way.
Absolutely. Like I'm staying at the Ritz-Carlton for this event, and they gave me a room that I have the view of downtown. So I see the arch in the city, and it takes me back. I just like, wow, I remember being downtown, riding downtown, getting ready to go to the stadium, and the tailgating and the fans and the arch and people back home back in North Carolina that had never been to St. Louis, seeing the arch and seeing it just brings back so many great memories. And I remember that Dome really rocking, man.
Oh yeah,
that Dome was really rocking.
You couldn't talk to the person next to you.
It was crazy
when you guys were out there.
The fans were bobbing and weaving. I mean, they were ultra excited about what we were doing. But we generated that excitement by the way that we played, and how excited we were for each other having success. I think that spilled over certainly into the fans.
Guys, from another athlete's point of view, playing a sport, you're both going into the Hall of Fame. Torry, I know you're going to get in, and Isaac having a gold jacket. I can't even imagine how cool that is. But playing a sport so rough, so difficult, what is the mental side of the injury part? Because we walk after the ball. My body's a disaster
Jay,
now.
30 years on the PGA Tour.
I'm a lot older than both of y'all. I got clothes older than you, Torry. Anyway, but to know that your career could be cut short in one play, I mean, and you're watching guys tear their ACLs just cutting when I watched you guys cut. I mean, people couldn't stay near you guys when you played.
Yeah, well, it's a mentality. I mean, it's something that you certainly are aware that injuries are part of the game, but it's something that you don't carry with you when you're out there competing. You just gotta, you gotta go. You just gotta be free and go out and play and react and respond. We obviously know injuries is part of the game. So, but yeah, I mean, you just gotta mentally. You just got to, you just gotta lock in. You got to do a lot of, and we did a lot of preventable things prior to training to try to minimize, injuries. But it's more of a mindset of just going out, being free, playing free, having a good time, and just turning it loose.
Can't be worried about it.
Yeah, you can't be worried. We obviously know that it's part of the game, but it's certainly something that you can't worry about.
Well, we know the Ascension Charity Classic is giving back to St. Louis. You guys are doing that as well. What is the best way for those that are listening to give back to both of your foundations? I'll start with you, Isaac. A website, phone number. What's the best way to do it?
Well, mine is pretty easy. Just go isaacbruce.org. Find out everything that we're doing. Make donations, please. I mean, I don't ask for money for myself, but for my foundation and what's happening in my foundation, we always ask for donations.
Yeah.
the Flight 300 program. You can donate to that. We have great partners like Ameren. We have partners like American Airlines that's given us over 9 million miles in the last
incredible.
2 years.
That's amazing.
Just
We're
awesome.
pushing it forward.
How about for you, Torry? Best way to do it?
HoltBrothersFoundation.org.
Great.
That's where you can find us.
HoltBrothersFoundation.org.
Yes, sir.
Torry Holt, future Hall of Famer. Isaac, congratulations.
Thank you.
were in the Hall of Fame. Jay Delsing, Dan McLaughlin. And this is Golf with Jay Delsing, presented by Doherty Business Solutions.
That was the Front Nine on Golf with Jay Delsing, presented by the Ascension Charity Classic. We're halfway home, and next, we'll make the turn.
I want to welcome Redbird Heating and Cooling to the Golf with Jay Delsing show. You can reach them at 314-320-9507 or on the website redbirdhvac.com. CEOs Jed Dickinson and Jerry Pearson run the area's most responsive and dedicated heating and cooling company that's been conscientiously supporting the St. Louis area for the last decade. Just last month, when my air conditioner stopped working, Jed and his team were at my home at 7 a.m. to replace one unit and then repair the other. Your money, like it's our money, was Jed's statement to me, and the repairs for Unit 2 was less than $200. If you want to work with a family-owned business that you can trust, then call 314-320-9507 or visit them at redbirdhvac.com. That's redbirdhvac.com.
You're listening to Golf with Jay Delsing. To connect with Jay, log on to jdelsinggolf.com. You'll see the latest in equipment, find the latest innovations in golf, and get tips from a PGA professional. That's jdelsinggolf.com.
Hi, this is Nick Ragone from the Ascension Charity Classic, and you're listening to Golf with Jay Delsing.
WXOS HD1 East St. Louis 101 ESPN is driven by Auto Centers Nissan, home of the lifetime warranty and 30-day return.
Hey, this is Jay Delsing for SSM Health Physical Therapy. Our golf program has the same screening techniques and technology as the pros on the PGA Tour use. SSM Health Physical Therapy has the Titleist Performance Institute trained physical therapists that can perform the TPI screening on you, as well as use the K-Vest 3D motion capture system. Proper posture, alignment, etc. can help you keep your game right down the middle. We have 80 locations in the St. Louis area. Call 800-518-1626 or visit them on the web at ssmphysicaltherapy.com. Your therapy, our passion.
This is Golf with Jay Delsing. We're halfway home and it's time to make the turn. Let's get back to Jay and Dan.
At the 27-yard line, Warner to throw. Going deep downfield, adjusting for it is Isaac Bruce. And Isaac Bruce threads his way for a touchdown. 73 yards.
I always say that, that my dreams are bigger than my memories, but my memories are still there. I mean, when you're driving down 70 or when you're on 270, 170, you headed towards downtown. I mean, some of those same memories start coming up about, driving down on Sunday morning, getting ready to play a game, and sometimes just being downtown, and you see the actual dome where a lot of great memories, great plays actually happen in that building. So, Memphis and Missouri will be playing in that dome here coming real soon. So I have a chance to be back in that dome and see some football. But, yeah, the memories are still there. They're fun memories. Do we move on? Yeah, we have to. But at the same time, I think we still have those memories of the great games that were played in there.
Warner, back to throw, under pressure, throws the end zone, touchdown Rams, Torry Holt. And the rookie, Torry Holt, made the catch.
I'm staying at the Ritz-Carlton for this event, and they gave me a room that I have the view of downtown. So I see the arch in the city, and it takes me back. It's like, wow, I remember that. I remember being downtown, riding downtown, getting ready to go to the stadium, and the tailgating and the fans and the arch, and people back home back in North Carolina that had never been to St. Louis, seeing the arch and seeing everything. It just brings back so many great memories. And I remember that dome really rocking, man. The fans were bobbing and weaving. I mean, they were they were ultra excited about what we were doing. But we generated that excitement by the way that we played, and how excited we were for each other having success. I think that spilled over certainly into the fans.
This is Golf with Jay Delsing. Yes, some football highlights mixed in as we come back from break because of Torry Holt, Isaac Bruce. Great to visit with them as they sat down with us. Making a difference, certainly they did on the football field. That's Jay Delsing. I'm Dan McLaughlin. But making a difference in what they've done with their foundations, which was fun to find out about.
First of all, great men. I mean, first of all, great humans. I can run from here to my refrigerator, but I got to tell you,
they look like they should be playing.
Wow.
Yeah.
And Isaac's a little bit older than Torry, and he is still super fit. Man, when I look back and watch what those guys did on the football field and then standing next to them, they still kept themselves in great shape. And think about that now. As soon as Torry gets in the Hall, that'll be 5 Hall of Famers just on the offensive side of the ball.
It's incredible. They were part of the Legends Breakfast to kick off the Ascension Charity Classic. By the way, we're going to visit with Nick Ragone next segment. He's arrived on the scene, has been kind enough to show up here at Norwood Hills Country Club, but we'll visit with Nick, who runs the Ascension. But that was the kickoff for the week-long events, if you will, and now we're under a month away. I know you're preparing for it. Body willing. Hopefully that's going to be just fine, and I know it will be. But I just thought that having those two guys on stage and being able to tie in golf with foundations to football, it was pretty cool to see those two guys and to reminisce. And Martin Kilcoyne did a great job with the Q&A and moderating that conversation.
Who emceed that?
I emceed it, but
you did a great job of emceeing it. It was
over.
Great to have you behind the mic again, and you got Nick Ragone had a wonderful shout out to you.
It was very kind.
It needed to be said, and it was great to have you do it, Danny. From you hosting the thing to Martin doing the Q&A to that young lady from PGA Junior League that knocked it out of the park. I thought it was one of our best breakfasts, and we didn't have any professional golf, professional golf legends there.
So one of the things I want to get into with Nick as we're making the turn here on Golf with Jay Delsing, presented by Daugherty Business Solutions, is where are we at with ticket sales, the names that are coming, and also anytime I can find out news about Tiger. He's got some updated news apparently he wants to get into. That moves the needle. So the Ascension Charity Classic, my man, is right around the corner. I mentioned God willing, body willing for you. You'll be playing in it. How are you doing right now?
Well, my game is really good. I just I don't know if I just overdid it playing so much, but I was playing really well, so I was playing all the time, and I've just kind of hurt my hip a little bit. And something in my back, but
only your hip and your back, which are vital.
But look at me. I mean, this is why, Danny, I've unscrewed the light bulbs in my bathroom, man. I can't stand to look at this body anymore, man. But I'm going to be fine. I'm going to get out there. We're going to give it hell, man. I can't wait to get to compete again. I can't wait to feel nervous. I can't wait to have that adrenaline run through my body. It just, there's what other parts of life do you get to feel? That just makes you feel alive to me,
I think fans would be curious. Take me on the course right now and how you prepare. Is it a lot of putting one day? Is it just chips one day? Is it going out and playing 36? Is it putting yourself in uncomfortable spots on the course? What do you do to prepare? And for you, this is like a major, man. This is being back home at Norwood. This means an awful lot to you.
Is there anything bigger than a major?
No.
Call it that, because that's what it feels like for me. So for my personality and for my game, I need to play a lot. I need to be on the golf course, and I need reps that way. Now, there is a component where I can practice, and I have done some of that. But when it comes to like some of the putting drills that you're talking about, one of the things that I've started doing is putting more of my short putts, because when we play, you pick, you hit it out there 2 feet, you pick it up. Well, you can't pick anything up.
Sure.
And the weird thing about that, Danny, is that when you're not accustomed to it, and then you're thrown back in, all of a sudden it's almost shocking to the system. Your brain wants to get too active, and you don't need any thinking on these 2-footers. You just go through your routine and knock them in, And so I started to do things like that. A lot of pitching, a lot of judging of the lies, things that I don't. When you play all the time, you take that for granted. When you're not playing, you don't see some of these lies. You don't see, and you have to make some of the right decisions on the shots that you need to hit. That's really how I've been spending my time. Heck, you and I played a ton. Norwood is
Spectacular.
Just beautiful.
You know, we were talking about the weather and all the rain we've had. I would imagine that Norwood has to be pleased by having this much rain and let this baby get plush, let it get as green as it can. Now, it was already. Don't get me wrong. It was in magnificent shape. But when you get it like this, and then you start to kind of shut down areas of the golf course, this place could be in just incredible shape by the early portion of September.
Yeah, hopefully we get a little bit of it drying out, so the course will play a little faster, but you're absolutely right. Plus, Danny, not only the rain, we've had super cool temps, so that gives everything a chance to recover a little bit. We had that oppressive heat. How many times were we out playing and they were watering and syringing the greens right in front of us? And, so they haven't had to do any of that sort of stuff. So I know that Mike Null, who in my opinion is a top 5 superintendent in the country, he does a phenomenal job over there. The golf course will be impeccable, and the field will be great. It's going to be a great event.
So coming up, we'll visit with Nick Ragone. I want to go back just for a moment to Ken Bentley. What stood out in our visit? And Ken, again, if you're just joining us, again, we're on from 8 to 10 now, Golf with Jay Delsing, but Ken is the commissioner of the APGA. It's great to give these guys a shot, man, and he's doing a hell of a job with that.
All I can say is it's needed. Danny, we've talked about this 100 times. The way you and I grew up, you were in South County, I was in North County.
South City.
South County.
I mean, come on.
South City, yeah, you were uptown. We didn't see color.
No, we were downtown.
I know, we was downtown. Danny, we didn't see color. We didn't care. It was, just, hey, this guy's playing, this girl's playing, it's whatever. For a lot of these kids, the opportunities are so limited, and that sucks, man. If it would have been limited for you and I mean, could you imagine if you wanted to do some of the great things you've done in your career and not been able to because of the way you look? That would have been
horrible.
Pissed me off.
Horrible.
Yeah,
and I love what he's doing, though. He's reaching out to the corporate people across the country. And it's people like Doherty that have stepped up, as you mentioned in our interview with him, and said, hey, we want to be part of being a difference maker with you and giving these kids a shot. Just give them a chance. And through the Ascension and through the APGA, they get an exemption on an actual PGA Tour stop next year, which is huge. Ridiculous
what that could be worth to them and how that could springboard them onto their career. And Danny, I can tell you specifically, Doherty Business Solutions and Ascension were vital in springboarding the APGA to the next level. I know that after the St. Louis event, Cisco came on board, and several other major corporate players have come on. They're playing for over $1 million in prize money this year.
It's incredible.
It's awesome. Listen, is it PGA Tour standards? No, but it's a place to play, to hone your skills. How about the fact that now they supply the guys with fittings and equipment? How cool is that?
The other part, too, is that there have been guys that graduated from the APGA, and now you're seeing them on CBS on a Saturday. They're playing on the big tour, the PGA Tour.
I know. Tony Finau.
Yeah.
I mean, Harold Varner played. I mean, we got big names, and that's we just got to get more kids interested in it. Danny, I go back, I know I sound like a broken record, but that young lady from the PGA Junior League was so impressive to me. She was just delightful. And here's a girl, African-American young lady, never even probably ever had a golf club in her hand. How good was her swing?
Oh, it was awesome. And her putting stroke, and they showed her putting. She's knocking down 10, 15-footers.
Looked pretty
good.
No
problem.
I know. She's like, what's so hard about this game?
Nick Ragone from the Ascension Charity Classic will be our guest next. There's a lot of news with the Ascension Charity Classic. We're coming to you on this Sunday morning from Norwood Hills Country Club. That's Jay Delsing. I'm Dan McLaughlin. Golf with Jay Delsing, presented by Doherty Business Solutions.
That was Making the Turn. Coming up, we head to the back nine. You're listening to Golf with Jay Delsing.
Doherty Business Solutions, the title sponsor of the Golf with Jay Delsing show, has been enhancing the business of our customers for the last 37 years. How do we do it? Through our expertise in technology, better use of data and analytics, artificial intelligence, and machine learning. We also roll up our sleeves and collaborate. We build applications and effectively communicate with our partner clients to bring their goals and objectives to the finish line. Our award-winning Access Point program is a community game changer. With nearly 100 students in the program, mostly young African-American females are making between $55,000 and $60,000 per year before graduating from high school. That's right, $55,000 to $60,000 a year as a high school senior. That's when they begin training. CEO Ron Daugherty believes talent is equally distributed, but access to the opportunity is not. So here is Access Point, providing more and more opportunity for those in and around our community. That's Daugherty Business Solutions, changing our community for the better.
This is Dan McLaughlin, inviting you to the 21st Annual Dan McLaughlin Golf Tournament to benefit the Special Education Foundation. This tournament has raised over $5 million, and 100% of the money raised has gone to children with special needs in our community. To sponsor, volunteer, or to play in the event on October 9th at Norwood Hills Country Club, please visit sef-stl.org. I'll see you on October 9th at Norwood Hills Country Club.
If you're in the market for a new or used vehicle, any make or model, then you need to visit the Dean Team Volkswagen of Kirkwood. They are the official vehicle provider of the Golf with Jay Delsing show. My daughter and I both drive vehicles supplied by Colin and the Dean Team Volkswagen of Kirkwood. And the reason we have them is because we know we can trust them. They made the car buying experience painless and very easy. Their customer service is second to none. They provided my daughter with a loaner car when her Passat needed repairs. Every single step of the car buying experience was taken care of for us. You can reach Colin at 314-966-0303, and he will answer all of your questions and put your mind at ease. The Dean Team Volkswagen of Kirkwood has new or pre-owned vehicles to be purchased or leased, whichever you prefer. Once you visit the Dean Team Volkswagen on Manchester and Kirkwood, you'll become a customer for life because they'll treat you like family. The Dean Team Volkswagen of Kirkwood, the official vehicle provider of the Golf with Jay Delsing show.
Family Golf and Learning Center. No matter your age or skill level, Family Golf and Learning Center, located in Kirkwood, has something for you. They've got it all. PGA, LPGA instruction, double-decker driving range, par 3 golf course, TrackMan simulators, and so much more. This is St. Louis's premier practice facility. To schedule a lesson or to find out what they can offer you and your family, visit FamilyGolfOnline.com. That's FamilyGolfOnline.com. Family Golf and Learning Center.
This is Golf with Jay Delsing. The Back Nine is presented by Pro-Am Golf, located in Brentwood. See what Pro-Am Golf can do for you.
Golf with Jay Delsing on this Sunday morning, and joining us is Nick Ragone from the Ascension Charity Classic. That's Jay Delsing. I'm Dan McLaughlin. What a way to kick off the Ascension Charity Classic this past week. APGA, you had that tournament, and that is such a huge thing for this area and for African-American players trying to make a name for themselves. Ascension Charity Classic, less than a month away. So, Nick, you are a busy man, and this past week was a big week for the Ascension.
You know, we kicked off the week, the run-up to the Charity Classic. We're 27 days out, or about 20 days out. And to start it off with a second year in a row now, a great APGA Classic. And that's really turned into a marquee event, Danny, you know this, and Jay, on their tour, the APGA Tour, which is a developmental tour for African-American golfers that this year, because of our involvement, you know, Jay, and Oracle and Farmers and others, now has developmental status with the PGA Tour. And to have our winner now, our champion, and we're so happy, be able to play in, they're getting a sponsor's exemption into Worldwide's tournament at Cabo, which, and you know this, Jay, PGA Tour starts are precious. One start could change a career if you make a cut or you top 10 and you get another start. Think about how big of a deal that is to go from the APGA winning this weekend to starting at Cabo in the fall.
That's massive. I mean, there's no telling. You can, the one thing, Nick, that we say all the time, you can build Rome in 7 days when on the PGA Tour and have that kind of week. But Nick, one of the things that I'm really super proud of, and I watched happen unfold in front of our eyes, is Ascension's involvement in the APGA kick-started a huge corporate movement where now we've got Cisco. There's a lot of people that came on board because of St. Louis and because of this event.
You know, I feel like we were at the beginning along with Farmers 2 years ago in saying that it's one thing, and you know this, Danny, we've talked about this. It's one thing to say you want golf to be more diverse and inclusive at the elite ranks. It's another thing to actually do something. Like, it's easy. Anybody could say anything. Talking is easy. I talk for a living. That's easy. Doing stuff is way harder. And I'm so proud of the team. And it was Dan Sullivan and Tim Heitman and Spratt. and a bunch of others to say, okay, we're going to work with Ken Bentley and the APGA and create a marquee event, and then to have other sponsors come on board. And now to see Kenyatta Ramsey of the PGA Tour announced about 4 months ago that they're going to find a path forward for the APGA to be a developmental tour for the Korn Ferry Tour and then the PGA Tour. Because you know this, Jay, it's hard to get onto the PGA Tour. You need to have access points. You can't just say, look, we magically, Tiger in 96 and 97, it was supposed to make the game more diverse. It hasn't really happened. There was more players in the 70s and 80s.
I find this shocking.
When you played on tour, you had Jimmy Dent, Jim Thorpe, and Calvin Peete, and Lee Elder. You had others. Right now, Harold Varner has left the tour. You have Cameron Champ. Tiger's not playing. Golf has not gotten more diverse. It's not gotten more inclusive at the elite ranks. And so to have a full developmental tour like the APGA, and for St. Louis to be a part of that narrative, and I think when the story's written in years from now, Jay, when we do have more diverse representation on the tour level, they'll say, it started in St. Louis.
For people that don't know, APGA, what is it? They're saying, well, Nick's talking about it, Jay's talking about it, Dan's talking about it. What is this? So
it's
simply
the Advocates Professional Golf Association. It's a developmental tour for mostly African-American golfers and other underrepresented groups. It's been around for 13 years, but they have been under the radar for a long time until last year. And funny story, I've told this before, but when we announced our event last year in Glen Echo in February, a snowy day, I remember it, you were there, both of you were there, and we had a full media roundup, and Ken Bentley, the commissioner, was doing the media gauntlet, and I think he was talking to the Post-Dispatch, might have been Ben Fredrickson, and he said, oh, you must do press conferences all the time, and he goes, in 13 years, we haven't done one. And
that's unbelievable.
And
to
I
me.
said to him, welcome to St. Louis. Like, this is how we do things.
And we had a full house, Nick. That thing was packed on
200
that lousy
people on
day.
a sleeting day. It was hard to get out of the driveway. And I thought this is going to be a good omen for their event, for our event. And it's led to, again, this developmental relationship with the PGA Tour. And I think, golf needs to be accessible. And it's one thing to say we have great programming at the Junior League with PGA Reach and First Tee and all that. They also need to see players that look like them, that came from similar backgrounds, to make it a little bit more real. And I think at the elite levels, it's so difficult, Jay, to get status on the tour, to even go through Q School, to get on Korn Ferry, to get on the PGA Tour, to hold your card, that the APGA needs to have developmental status, at least to the Korn Ferry Tour.
Absolutely, it does. I think it's a huge deal, and it's really interesting, Nick, when you look at how we've gotten less diversified. When you think of a guy like Tiger Woods, who considers himself multiracial, you think, well, this should have opened more doors. But with the influx of all of the great foreign players that have infiltrated our universities, the PGA Tour has now become the World Golf Tour. And you get a young man like Sageth Thagala, whose folks are from India and Indian descent, and so there's a couple examples, but it's odd in this little space in history that we are right now. And
well, there's it used to be the caddy program. So I grew up in Westchester County, and I was fortunate every year to go to the Westchester Classic, which I know you played at, the Manufacturers Hanover Westchester Classic, and I got to be a standard bearer in that. And I remember seeing in 1982 and 3 and 4, I saw Calvin Peete, who never missed a fairway. I saw Jim Thorpe, who was the longest player out there. I saw Jim Dent, who hit it a mile. I saw Lee Elder, who played in the Masters in 1975, first black golfer. I mean, these are guys I saw growing up, and it was normal to see these great athletes playing golf alongside. I saw Johnny Miller, I saw Tom Watson. Later, I saw you, Jay. You don't remember, but I met you.
Today, I hope I didn't hit you with a driver.
To see great players.
Yeah.
I saw your buddies Corey Pavin and Steve Pate. But and you go out to events now, and if Tiger's not in the field, Harold Varner's not in the field anymore, you're not seeing players who look different, and that's a problem.
How about having the fact that you had Isaac Bruce, Torry Holt as a part of your presentation of the Ascension Charity Classic, your Legends Breakfast this past week at Norwood Hills Country Club, where we're originating the show on this Sunday morning. But we heard from those two guys in hour one. Having them a part of this, that was impressive, and that was fun.
It was great. Torry and Isaac, first of all, they both look like they could play. You could arguably say that Rams offense was the greatest offense in history. I think when Torry gets in, which he should, the Hall of Fame, you'll have 5 Hall of Famers.
He will.
Kurt Warner, Marshall, Orlando Pace, Isaac. And as a New York Giants fan, I can tell you how much I hated those teams, because you knew that they're going to put up a 50 spot on some good defenses. But to have those guys come back, first of all, how involved they are in charitable giving is impressive. To remember their time playing here and their fondness for the community and the fans and what it means in North St. Louis County and giving back, and to be to come fly in on their own and come and be a part of that is pretty cool. And the Rams have done a disservice to the community, but the players never have.
Absolutely.
Danny, you know what sticks out in my mind too, Nick, is that young lady from the junior league who got up and spoke at the breakfast on Tuesday in front of, I don't know, she couldn't have been 15 or 16 years old. Cute as can be, but
I told her she had a nice swing.
Relaxed.
She was very, very
she had a
sweet.
great
I saw it on the
swing.
video. She had a great swing. I was looking at that. That tempo looked like Ernie Els, by the way.
I'm jealous. That aggravates me a little bit. But the way her composure, her grace to stand up at that age in front of 200 people and do what she did.
Not easy, and she did a great job.
She did. I spoke on Tuesday, at the event on Tuesday. Our lieutenant governor spoke, and she put us to shame.
I told her privately, and thanks for having me MC the event, but I told her, I said, a lot of government officials here. I think you're the best speaker we got. Do you have any aspirations for
and we
politics?
didn't give Brian a mic. Senator Brian Williams, who had a big part in creating this APGA event for us. We'd still be there. We'd still be at the event if he was talking. But I want to say a couple things. A, thank you, Danny, for what you do for the community, emceeing that event, and Martin did a great job with Q&A. And having the support of the state of Missouri is a big deal. They view the Charity Classic as not just a golf event, but a celebration of the city, the county, and the state for a week. Remember, we're on the Golf Channel for 8 hours of live coverage, 8 hours of tape coverage, and it's a love letter to this community. And to have our Lieutenant Governor Mike Kehoe, to me, we're blessed to have the best lieutenant governor in the country, how much he's done for this state. To have him leaning into this and the state means a lot. And I think we're really blessed. Dr. Page was at our event, Brian Williams, Mike Kehoe, and others, the support from our elected officials. They know how important this is. We're only as strong, the region, as all the communities within it. And for them to invest their time and energy to help make this a great event is special.
It's amazing, Nick, when you look in the room and these people you mentioned, how many, the term "it takes a village" has never been more appropriate. But what's really cool is to watch the community involvement spread from year one to with COVID and all the challenges. This is a phenomenal event for us.
It really is. The sports land, a lot of the narrative around St. Louis over the last couple of years has been around sports and our wins, right? NASCAR has been a great win, and they've done an amazing job with that. Soccer now has been an unbelievable win. The Cards and the Blues are two gold standard franchises within their respective sports. Even if they're playing great or not, it doesn't matter. The way they're run, their investment, the community. And now to be a part of that landscape, to have, you remember this, Jay, in 2018, the PGA at Belle Reve, an amazing event, but that's the PGA of America. PGA Tour had no physical properties in St. Louis. To go from that to now 3. We have the Charity Classic, which is a marquee event. We have the BMW coming back to Belle Reve in 26, and we have the President's Cup coming, which is about, aside from the Ryder Cup, as big a global event as you can have in the sport. To go from 0 to 3, and to know that it was catalyzed by the Charity Classic, I think, and I know the PGA Tour has said that publicly, is pretty cool.
You had Stuart Sink, you had Justin Leonard on a Zoom. It was about 10 days ago or so, and I want to get into some of their comments as we continue to visit with Nick Ragone from Ascension. Let's get this out there right now. Corporate support, how good is it? And tickets for those that are watching as we wrap up our first segment with you.
Go to AscensionCharityClassic.com. I would tell you, we had record attendance first 2 years. We're outpacing that by a considerable amount. I mean, it now is really a week that people are starting to look forward to. So we have our Club 314, our ground passes, our VIP. We're building out the whole back nine. Last year we had 190 corporate sponsors. We've already topped that. We've sold out the Thursday Pro-Am. It's not around anymore. We have a few spots left on Wednesday. It's just amazing how the team does an amazing job, and Tim Heitman and Spratt, Alonzo, and others, but it's taken on a life of its own. I used the metaphor the first year that, me selling this was pushing a boulder uphill. Now that boulder is running downhill on its own momentum, which is very cool.
Nick Ragone, Ascension Charity Classic, Jay Delsing, Dan McLaughlin. This is Golf with Jay Delsing. Interesting comments made by Justin Leonard on whether LIV players would be welcome to PGA Tour champions. We'll get into that coming up.
This is Adam Betts from Family Golf and Learning Center located in Kirkwood. Our motto is play your best golf. We have the best instruction for every skill level. 2 female instructors along with our 8 PGA instructors. We're there for the kids and the adults who are starting to play and trying to refine their game. Family Golf and Learning Center features a double-decker driving range, grass tees, and a short game area, along with indoor simulators and a performance center. That's not all. Don't forget about our Back Nine Bar and Grill. Find out how we can help you and your family. Head to familygolfonline.com. That's familygolfonline.com. It's Family Golf and Learning Center, where we make St. Louis better at golf.
The Gateway section of the PGA, led by Allie Wells, is the center of golf for us here in St. Louis. With over 350 men and women in the organization, you'll be hard-pressed to find a golf course, driving range, or practice facility where one of these men and women members are not present working tirelessly to enhance your golf experience. From PGA Reach, the charitable foundation arm of the section, which raises and donates millions of dollars to the needy in our community, to PGA Hope, that helps and supports our former military through the game of golf, to the PGA Junior League, which has turned out to be a game changer for creating opportunities and bringing more young players into the game. Our Gateway section remains committed to growing the game of golf. Again, at this year's Ascension Charity Classic, PGA Reach will be one of the benefactors of our Legends Charity Shootout, where half of the money raised will go to PGA Reach. The Gateway section of the PGA, helping us all enjoy the game we love.
Hello, friends. This is Jim Nance, and you are listening to Golf with my friend Jay Delsing.
Redbird Heating and Cooling sponsors the Veterans Vocational Apprenticeship Program. Jed, the CEO and former Marine, will teach, mentor, and sign off on educational and mechanical work hours to help you get fully licensed while you work and get paid by the company. What a great way to launch your career as a fully licensed HVAC specialist. Visit redbirdhvac.com. That's Redbird Heating and Cooling.
This is Golf with Jay Delsing. We're winding down, and it's a stop at the 19th hole.
Golf with Jay Delsing, originating from Norwood Hills Country Club, the site, yet again, of the Ascension Charity Classic. Nick Ragone from Ascension, our guest. That's Jay Delsing. I'm Dan McLaughlin. I teased, and I'm going to paraphrase here, but during the Zoom press conference in which Stuart Sink was there, Justin Leonard asked about, and I'm paraphrasing again, whether LIV players would be welcomed onto PGA Tour champions. And he said, maybe not be open arms, Nick, but it would be, hey, they'd be great for interest. They're great for sponsors. Ultimately, we're trying to generate buzz, money, and he thinks that they would be welcomed. What do you think?
I think the two things. One is I think the players won't have any issues. I mean, this has never been outside of a few players who have been emotional about it. Most of those guys, Koepka, DJ, even Phil, they're in South Florida. They see each other. They play. Okay, that's not a big deal. Justin's right in that there's some big names on the LIV Tour. Lee Westwood comes to mind. Ryder Cupper, well-known. Obviously, Phil has generated so much heat, it's hard to even figure out where he stands anymore. But there's other guys that are turning 50 that are on LIV, the Sergios of the world, Martin Keimer, not immediately, Graham McDowell, Ian Poulter. And the Champions Tour is fueled by having new names come on every year, right? That's how they keep it interesting. And so to that extent, he's right. It's important for those guys to have the younger players, the Stuart Sinks, who's turned 50, and next year Zach Johnson, and to have these newer players come out. And so he's right. Now, whether or not there's going to be a path forward for them, they are under the PGA Tour umbrella. Jay Monahan announced a couple weeks ago there was going to be a committee to figure out how they're going to deal with the LIV players. And it was not going to be Jay just, summarily saying they're in or out, right? There's a process with some players, with others, and they're going to evaluate it. And my hope as a sponsor is that eventually we come to a place where the global game of golf is no longer fractured and united, and that the fans of St. Louis have the chance to see the best players in the world.
You have put on the Ascension Charity Classic. What about your counterparts? Do you think they would welcome those players back, or it'd just be kind of universally accepted with something like this if they're welcome back?
I think the Champion Tour sponsors want to have the best product possible, and that means having the best fields possible. And so I don't think it'll be an issue for fans to see Lee Westwood, right? They're not going to be bothered by that. Phil is different, and Phil is a whole other orbit, so put Phil aside. But if you look at some of the players on the Champions Tour, Martin Keimer is going to turn 50 not too far from now. Sergio eventually, Graham McDowell, Ian Poulter. You have Westwood, who's already 50. I don't think fans are going to hold it against those guys for doing what they did. I know the sponsors want to have the best product available. Now, whether or not, they choose to play is a different story. There's, we're still a long way from this deal being finalized with the Public Investment Fund and the PGA Tour, and we'll see how it plays out. But my hope as a sponsor is that the global golf community at some point heals itself and fans have access to seeing the best players in the world.
I hope you're right too, Nick. Where I'm wondering is, these guys are now suspended from the PGA Tour. And, what is that going to look like from a protocol standpoint? Because if you say, can you say to Sergio, you can't play any more PGA Tour events, but once you turn 50, you can go play the Champions Tour?
I don't think it's going to be like that. I think part of the problem, the issue with the LIV players coming back is, do they have to go to Q school? Like that was floated.
Come on.
It was floated. Like one of the trial balloons floated was like, okay, you left, you're going to have a path back, but you got to go qualify.
I'd love to see that.
Which is interesting, right? Now, a guy like Phil is not going to Q school. Phil actually has permanent, when you're in the Hall of Fame, you have permanent membership. So that's one of the questions. Now with the Champions Tour, does that mean you have to go to the Champions Tour Q school, which by the way, as you know, is the toughest school on the planet.
Exactly.
80 play for 5. Now, the other thing is we all have sponsors exemptions, right? So, I mean, if you tell me, Lee Westwood has to go through Q school, or I could give him a sponsors exemption, I'm going to give him a sponsors exemption. I want Lee Westwood in my field. So it's extremely complicated.
How many people, by the way, call you? And I'm talking about
a lot.
Yeah, I can't imagine the players calling you.
The two easiest sponsor exemptions I get to give out are to the two Jays, Williamson and Delsing, and having them in our field. Jay hit our first shot a couple of years ago, which is still memorable. Jay Williamson, who's had a great career, both Jays have on the PGA Tour. The game of golf has been represented so well at the professional ranks locally by J&J. So having them in the field, and then, it's the most stress I have, there's two things. One is the weather, which I don't control. The other is sponsors exemption, which I do control. And there's a lot of great players. You saw that, Jay. You Monday qualified. You saw how good.
Oh my!
We
had major champions.
I think we had Sean McKeel there. We had Esteban Toledo. We had Len Matisse, who nearly won the Masters. If you look, Danny, at the Monday qualifier, it looked like a mid-level Champions Tour event. That's how many great players were in it.
Let's stay on that theme and mention some of the players that have committed to come in September and will be a part of this, and I'm sure fans will be curious about the names that you're about to mention. We're talking about big names in the game of golf.
We're going to have a great field. Every year we have a top 3 field. To have Bernard Longer now be the winningest champion of all time come back is amazing. Ernie Els, Furyk, Justin Leonard, Duvall. And here's the exciting thing. And I mentioned this at the press conference 2 weeks ago, or that you were on, Danny. I mentioned that I've had personal conversations with Tiger, which I have, multiple conversations, and twice in front of witnesses, by the way, and those witnesses were Jay Monahan and Rory McIlroy, so pretty good witnesses.
Hold him to it, Nick. Hold him to it.
I know we're going to hold him to it,
I haven't said this part publicly, but I'll tell you an addendum to the story. So I chatted with Tiger. He knew a lot about the event. He knew a lot about Norwood. He knew Hogan won here. So if you ever want to question how much of a golf savant Tiger is, he didn't know which major. He goes, Hogan won there, right? And I said, absolute 48 PGA. He said that the experience at Belle Reve in 2018 was the best ever he's had as a professional. And he said, when I turn 50, get my cart ready. And then later in the night, apropos of nothing, he said, where's my friend from St. Louis? He pointed at me and he said, when I turn 50, get my cart ready. He said, he calls it a buggy. And he's motivated because he wants to beat up on the same players, Jay. He's beat up for 30 years.
I'll step in line.
So here's the best.
Get here, Tiger.
Here's the best part. 2 weeks later, I actually was in South Florida and I had a chance to play golf with Rory, which was amazing. And he was at the dinner and he said, hey man, Tiger committed to your event kind of publicly. Did you follow up with him? And I said, well, I don't really text Tiger, so that's not something I can do. And he goes, I'll see him at JT's wedding. I'll remind him.
Is that right?
That's right. That's a true story.
So you anticipate Tiger being here in a couple of years?
I think he is going to. Here's what I anticipate. He said this publicly at the Masters on his presser on Tuesday. You remember this, Jay? You were texting. You and I. He said, when I turn 50, I'm going to get a buggy and go play. He can't walk anymore, but he could hit it. I mean, he has 180 mile per hour ball speed. He still pokes it. He just physically can't walk. And he said, I get the sense when he turns 50, he's a competitor. He's going to get a whiff of it in his nose. He's going to play a little bit. He's going to win, and he's going to say, I like being in a cart and beating up on these guys. And I think he's going to play, if not a regular schedule, a semi-regular, 10, 12, 14 events a year. And absolutely, I think he's going to play here.
I wonder, too, if his son has an influence on this. He wants to show his son, who missed, obviously, the height of his career, saw him win the Masters, his last Masters championship in 19, I guess. But when you think about that, Charlie has a chance to watch him. I wonder if that's a motivating factor for him.
I would have to think so. They saw him win in 2019, so it was like, okay, Dad can really play. But you even heard this. I think Isaac Bruce mentioned this in his chat on Tuesday. Do your kids know what you've done? And he's like, sometimes I have to remind her, Dad can play a little bit.
Dad has a gold jacket.
I have a gold jacket. I could get in and out of my cuts. And, it's funny. Like, my kids have no interest in anything I do. And that's like all of us, right? Our kids don't really care. I think he wants to show his kids that I could still dominate. And I think, honestly, when he gets out on the Champions Tour and he gets in a cart, I think he's not just going to play. I think he's going to win, and he's going to love it.
Denny, I agree. And I think having Charlie, hit these teenage years, and Tiger's alpha dog, man. He wants to be the best player in the house still.
He wants to beat everybody. You have said that constantly, and Nick being around him, I'm sure just seeing him and how he is, he's going to control the conversation. He's going to control the room. And, oh, by the way, we go play 18, I'm going to control you. Yeah. I'm going to dominate you.
Look, Tiger, to me, people don't realize what a golf nerd and student of the game he is.
100%.
And I will tell you another story that there was some talk, and this has been bandied about. I'm not breaking news here, but there was some talk about lowering their age on the Champions Tour to get him out there sooner. And there was some sort of conversations around that. And Tiger's take on it was, if Jack and Arnie did it at 50, I'm doing it at 50 because I want to measure myself. He famously had Jack's majors on his wall. He measures himself to the history of the game, which is really cool. I mean, he really respects. I mean, Jay, Ben Crenshaw is the ultimate golf historian. I think Tiger's right there. I mean, for him to know that, like, Hogan won at Norwood, to know the history of the game, and to measure himself against the greats, and at 50, to know that, like, Jack won 8 majors on the Champions Tour. Most people don't know that. Until recently, he had the record. On the Champions Tour, Jack. You probably didn't know that, Jay. It's amazing. And Tiger knows that stuff.
Amazing.
Nick, just recently, Danny and I talked about this maybe a week or so ago. Tiger is now the 6th player director on the PGA Tour board. Talk a little bit about, not the politics, but from a player standpoint, Jay Monahan was drowned, and you can't get a bigger mantle on your fireplace than that.
Tiger is, I have such respect for his business acumen and his savvy. Like, Tiger has had such an interesting arc to his career in that he's obviously been a golf savant for a long time. He came out on the PGA Tour, and you know this, Jay. He was crushing people. He was notoriously, I don't want to say aloof, but, he was an island unto himself. And now that he's kind of past his playing days, he's become this kind of, not just an elder statesman, because he's not that yet, but he's become the voice and conscience of the game. And I think he kept his powder dry for a long time when the PIF investment was announced, because he wanted to see, where his voice was going to be most impacted. And it makes total sense that he waited until the right moment to join the board, where he's going to have now the deciding vote, by the way. Like, it tips the scale towards the players. Yeah, it tips the scale towards the players. And there's no voice in the game of golf that has Tiger's power. I mean, he's unanimously considered the leader. And Rory's done a great job, but Rory's not Tiger. And Tiger is Tiger. And for him now to have that outsized presence, I think is going to be a game changer.
What do you think it's like for the Ascension Charity Classic to be on the heels of the FedEx playoffs and the buzz that's generated on the PGA Tour, and then all of a sudden leads into your week and what it means?
We got the best week on the calendar. There's 2 weeks a year where there's no PGA Tour event or silly season event, and we got one of them. So it means we get all the live coverage on the Golf Channel, and we get all the run-up. We had a great major season. We just ended a couple weeks ago with the British Open. We're into the FedEx Cup now, and then right out of that break, we have our golf to ourselves in North America.
Point.
I mean, it's amazing run-up. And then after that, you have the Ryder Cup. So it keeps interest up through our event. We're kind of the bridge between the FedEx Cup season and then the Ryder Cup. And that's and 3 years in a row now. And to get 8 hours of live coverage, and people don't realize it here because we're out there watching it. And I go back after a long day at the course and I watch the tape coverage. and you see what a love letter it is to St. Louis. And to have that much live coverage of golf and no other event going on. There's no, I don't even think the women are playing that week. We have it all to ourselves. It's pretty cool.
How about the build-out right now? So I thought that was interesting with Stuart Sink and Justin Leonard. Leonard specifically mentioning, he said, on a normal PGA Tour Champions event, he said, you're not going to see the build-out like you see at the Ascension, which is cabanas, the suites that are all over the 18 holes of Norwood Hills.
I think Justin said specifically you see a little of 17 and 18.
That's what it was, yeah.
And he said, he didn't play our first year because it wasn't 50. And last year, I was chatting with him in the Pro-Am, and he said, no, actually, I was chatting with him at my house, and he said, I cannot believe when I made the turn for the first time and saw on 11 you had a build-out. And I thought, well, that must be an aberration, right? Like maybe that's a special hole. And then I got to 12, and then 13 and 14 and 15. He goes, I could not believe the build-out. And then he said the cool thing was, he's a big Texas football fan, and that was the weekend they're playing Alabama and nearly beat them, should have beat them. And he said, you had this big giant TV in the fan center, and he's like, I was watching I was more focused on that than I was on my game, and they're into it. These guys, you know this, Jay, you loved when you played on the big tour, being in front of those crowds. And the Duvals and the Leonards and the Erniels and Furicks, these guys are superstars playing in front of huge crowds. They don't get that every week, but they get it here.
I'll wrap it up with this as we talk about the Ascension Charity Classic. What's the best part of being Nick Ragone for that week? Is it handing off the trophy? Is it what you're generating for the three worthy charities in North St. Louis? Is it saying, hey, I'm Nick Ragone from Ascension, and come on and try to get your exemption? Come on. What is it?
None of the above. The best part is Tuesday when we get the putting challenge. We see all our charities out there, and you see a lot of kids, and then the clinics. And it's not an abstraction. The money is not a talking point. It's real. And the other part for me is watching the first tee shot. I watched Jay last year. I have a sense that Jay might be hitting the first shot again this year. And it's the only thing I ever remember because it's such a blur that week. But to be able to see somebody like Jay, who grew up at Norwood, caddied at Norwood, is from the area, and then to play, as you say, a home game is pretty cool.
I still get goosebumps, and I'm 30 days out from the first tee shot, but I can't wait.
That's breaking news, I think, is that Nick Ragone basically
I don't control that, but I think I have some influence.
I think you do as well.
Love it.
Nick, thanks again for doing what you do for St. Louis, which is, as you mentioned, most important for the charities that you're raising so much money for. And let's throw it out there again, AscensionCharityClassic.com, and what is available for fans that are listening right now.
Yeah, go to AscensionCharityClassic.com. We still have our grounds passes, our day passes. We have a few of our VIP Club 314 passes. Get a Pro-Am on Wednesday. Hurry up, though. And I want to thank you, Danny, you and both of you guys. You were here at the presser in October 8th. I remember the day, 2019, here at Norwood, to announce this thing. And I could tell you, there was a lot of skeptical looks. There was a lot of, as I would say, furrowed brows and arched eyebrows when I would go to people and say, this is what we're going to do. We're going to create an event at Norwood. It's all going to be about charity. It's going to be elite, and we're going to change the way people think about golf in North County. I had a lot of quizzical looks, and now 3 years in, that vision is reality. It's because of you two and many other people that said, yeah, we buy into that.
Nick, what you started, it's a massive boulder running downhill. We got to keep this going. The region needs it. It's great for golf. It's great for all of our community, man. Thanks so much.
Thank you, guys. And Jay, get your game in shape, buddy.
He is. Trust me, I'm playing plenty with him.
Danny's whipping me every day. He's telling me what to do, hit more chips, hit more putts, Well,
I'll tell you this. If Jay doesn't make any money on the Ascension Charity Classic, he's got, he's taking plenty of money from me.
Well, look,
believe me.
It's no cut, so I hope Jay gets something.
I just got to stay upright for 3 days.
That's Nick Ragone from the Ascension Charity Classic. Again, AscensionCharityClassic.com. That's Jay Delsing. I'm Dan McLaughlin on this Sunday morning from Norwood. This is Golf with Jay Delsing, presented by Daugherty Business Solutions.
Hey, this is Jay Delsing, and we golfers are always looking for ways to improve our games. For me, that means I want the very best and the very latest in equipment and in technology. The place for me is Pro-Am Golf in Brentwood. Tom DeGrand opened Pro-Am Golf Center in 1975, and ever since then, he and his family have provided St. Louis with the finest in golf equipment, instruction, and the latest in the ever-changing world of golf technology. Whether you are a scratch golfer looking to find the latest in rangefinders or a newcomer looking to find your first set of clubs, Pro-Am Golf has just what you're looking for. You say you're looking to get yourself custom fitted for a new set of clubs? you need to call TJ. He has fit me personally, and he is the best in town. If you mention my name, CJ will take 50% off the already low-fitting price. So if you need anything from golf balls to a new pair of shoes or a lesson from Tom, who, by the way, has been helping St. Louisans play better golf for over 45 years, Pro-Am Golf in Brentwood is the place for you. You can also visit them at proamusa.com. That's Pro-Am Golf.
This is Adam Betts from Family Golf and Learning Center located in Kirkwood. Our motto is play your best golf. We have the best instruction for every skill level. 2 female instructors along with our 8 PGA instructors. We're there for the kids and the adults who are starting to play and trying to refine their game. Family Golf and Learning Center features a double-decker driving range, grass tees, and a short game area, along with indoor simulators and a performance center. That's not all. Don't forget about our back 9 bar and grill. Find out how we can help you and your family. Head to familygolfonline.com. That's familygolfonline.com. It's Family Golf and Learning Center, where we make St. Louis better at golf.
If you're in the market for a new or used vehicle, any make or model, then you need to visit the Dean Team Volkswagen of Kirkwood. They are the official vehicle provider of the Golf with Jay Delsing show. My daughter and I both drive vehicles supplied by Colin and the Dean Team Volkswagen of Kirkwood. And the reason we have them is because we know we can trust them. They made the car buying experience painless and very easy. Their customer service is second to none. They provided my daughter with a loaner car when her Passat needed repairs. Every single step of the car buying experience was taken care of for us. You can reach Colin at 314-966-0303, and he will answer all of your questions and put your mind at ease. The Dean Team Volkswagen of Kirkwood has new or pre-owned vehicles to be purchased or leased, whichever you prefer. Once you visit the Dean Team Volkswagen on Manchester and Kirkwood, you'll become a customer for life because they'll treat you like family. The Dean Team Volkswagen of Kirkwood, the official vehicle provider of the Golf with Jay Delsing show.
This is Dan McLaughlin, inviting you to the 21st Annual Dan McLaughlin Golf Tournament to benefit the Special Education Foundation. This tournament has raised over $5 million, and 100% of the money raised has gone to children with special needs in our community. To sponsor, volunteer, or to play in the event on October 9th at Norwood Hills Country Club, please visit sef-stl.org. I'll see you on October 9th at Norwood Hills Country Club.
You're listening to Golf with Jay Delsing. To connect with Jay, log on to jdelsinggolf.com. You'll see the latest in equipment, find the latest innovations in golf, and get tips from a PGA professional. That's jdelsinggolf.com.
For the best in Italian cuisine in St. Louis, look no further than Paul Manno's, located in Chesterfield. It's traditional Italian cooking, and their best ingredient? It's their tradition. It's cooking like Paul's grandmother used to make and like his mother still prepares today. There are no corners cut at Paul Manno's. From greeting you at the door to the pasta you'll share with your family, Paul Manno's is committed to bringing you their very best anytime you share a meal at their place. It's Paul Manno's, located in Chesterfield.
This is the Teacher's Corner. It's time to get a lesson from a PGA Tour professional. To submit a question, log on to jdelsinggolf.com. Let's get back to Jay and Dan.
We have been jam-packed on Golf with Jay Delsing, presented by Doherty Business Solutions. Our thanks to Ken Bentley, APGA Commissioner Isaac Bruce, Torry Holt, sat down with us here at Norwood Hills. We also just finished up with Nick Ragone. A lot of news on the Ascension Charity Classic. He runs that particular event. We're less than a month away to having it, and that first tee shot being delivered, hopefully by Jay Delsing. And that's right here at Norwood Hills Country Club. With Jay Delsing, I'm Dan McLaughlin. We call this Teacher's Corner. And before we get to that, because this kind of coincides with emails to you for question and answers on the show, there's also some golf balls to give away.
Absolutely. Compliments of Jeff Thornhill. Thorny, thanks so much. And the Tailor Made Golf Company. Guys, send me an email, jay@jdelsinggolf.com. That's spelled J-A-Y on both ends of that J there. And just put the word balls in the subject matter somewhere. Just tell me you'd like some free golf balls. We send out at the end of each month, we give a dozen away each week. And the TP5s, Danny, you're a huge supporter of the TP5s.
I absolutely love them. So give the email address one more time, and I'm going to get to some emails here.
Fantastic. It's jay@jdelsinggolf.com, guys and gals. We just had a gal, our first female, we sent some balls out last month to. So anybody that needs some, would like some, we'd love to hear from you.
Steve in Kirkwood, he says, guys, I hear you talking about Norwood ad nauseum. Well, the Ascension Charity Classic is there, so we do focus on that. But what is the key to playing Norwood? Because he said he had a chance to play there and has played there now multiple times after that initial time just 2 years ago.
You know, Denny, it's a great question, Steve, and thanks for listening. It's really the greens. From a tour player standpoint, the greens are tricky. They're slopey, so understanding where the best place to come in from, where the best place to putt from. And so it'll boil back down, Danny, to hitting some fairways and being able to control those second shots so that you're going to be having a lot of uphill putts. We've had some downhill putts together.
Ooh, boy.
And I'm like, how about the downhill putt? I'll never forget that we are playing the tips. So, folks, this is a 215-yard shot. Danny Mac stands up there and flags this 5-iron, and it goes 8 feet straight behind the hole, and the flagstick was in the far back right. There was not 12 feet behind that.
Is this
pin.
when I four-jacked it after?
Yeah. No, you didn't four-jack it, but I said to you, Danny, I don't think you can leave this putt short.
Yeah.
And the ball hit the high lip of the hole and rolled at least 12 feet down the other side.
This is a funny thanks for reminding me.
It was a great iron shot you hit in there.
I was happy with that.
Yeah.
So this is a funny email. This is from Mary in South St. Louis. She says, Jay, I can't wait to blame you on this, but what's the best way?
Love it.
What's the best way to lower my score?
I love it. I've probably screwed Mary up for years over here on the show. Mary, thank you again for the email and keep those coming in the mailbag. Really, the best way. So one of my missions in life, Danny, you know this, I want people to play better golf. If you play better golf, you're going to have more fun. You're going to want to play
100%.
more often. And so the best way to lower your handicap is to go from the green, start on the green, and work out to about, just go to 50, 60 yards. So all you need is a putter and a couple of wedges, maybe even only your 60-degree wedge, and work on your putting. So, guys, eliminate three putts. We are going to get rid of three putting. So that means work on your putting from distances and work on your short putting. We've given drills, probably to Mary's credit ad nauseum over there and to Steven's credit, but work on some of those clock drills that we talked about. They put pressure on you, and you want to practice with that pressure so that you get used to handling that.
I've always liked, when you told me about the Tiger 5, I hadn't really had the chance to dive into that. The Tiger 5, though, is very simple. And if you follow the Tiger 5, and let's give our listeners what the Tiger 5 is, but if you follow that, that's going to give you a chance to properly score or at least get lower scores. We're not saying you're going to, go out and shoot even par or be under par, but the Tiger 5 is something that you should look at because it's very, very simply put, a way to improve your scores. So, Jay, as you're looking it up, let's give us the Tiger 5.
It absolutely is. First of all, number one on the list is to avoid double bogeys or more. Duh, that's not real tricky, but this is what Tiger Woods used as his mantra to knock off 82 PGA wins, 15 major titles, and God only knows how much money.
That's right.
Okay, so we're avoiding double bogeys or more. We're avoiding bogeys or worse on par fives. Listen, we're not saying you got to eagle the par fives. Things like someone like Tiger you would think would demand of himself. He's not. Avoid three putting. That's a no-brainer. That's in Hank Haney's big misses. Everybody will tell you avoid the three putting. Avoid no bogeys inside of 150 yards. Again, best player in the world.
Short game.
And again, Danny, best player in the world. He's not saying, I got to stuff my wedges. He's saying, don't make any bogeys. And then the last one is, don't blow any easy up and down saves, meaning I'm 3 feet off the green and I've got an protected flag, and I could hit a bump and run. I could hit a lob. Don't blow any unprotected saves. So the Tiger 5, again, avoid double bogeys or more. Number 2 is avoid bogeys or worse on par 5s. Number 3 is avoid 3-putting. Number 4, avoid bogeys inside 150 yards. And the last one, don't blow any easy up and down opportunities.
The final email in our Teacher's Corner, and again, jay@jdelsinggolf.com if you'd like to email or get the free golf balls. This is from Matt in North County. He says, Jay, I know you haven't seen me personally play, but I get to 10, I get to 11, and the wheels come off every single time. You haven't seen me play, but what do you think the problem may be?
Well, it's interesting. It's either something so simple, mental. So for you, Matt, that you have some sort of mental block, which I don't think it is. But I'm going to tell you what it could be, and it's your food. And it's your nutrition. Half the time, guys will play in the morning. A lot of people, me included, I'm not a breakfast guy. I don't sit down and eat, a breakfast. So if you and I are going to be playing, Danny, when we play, I'm always starving by the time we get to the third hole. We go over and grab some handful of pretzels or some nuts or something like that. But work on your nutrition. And here's what you'll see on tour every single time you're watching somebody in contention.
Protein bars, man, all the time.
All day long, Danny, they're going in there.
Bananas.
And it's not that they're hungry. And when I caddied for your son Luke in the U.S. amateur qualifying, this kid is a stud athlete. But he's rail thin, and it's 120 degrees outside. And I kept giving him water. I'm saying, keep drinking. Here's some Gatorade. And then I said, we got to number 7. I said, here's this protein bar. He says, I'm not hungry. I said, Luke, we can't wait till you're hungry. We don't want to get to that point. Just eat half of it. Take a couple bites of it. I know but I'm telling you, it's a thing. Your car runs on gas. As soon as it runs out of gas, it doesn't move. Your body's the same way, man, especially in this heat, Danny. You don't sweat out straight water. You need to replenish it with some electrolytes and some sodium and things like that.
As we wrap up the show, it is one of my precious pictures that I have. Jay Delsing is in a bib with the hat, and he's caddying for my 18-year-old son. I'm thinking, what is wrong with this picture?
I'm glad it wasn't 36 because Luke would have had to carry me, but it was so much fun, and man, I wish I could hit the ball like, oh my gosh, it was a blast, and I wish I could hit the ball like he did. And by the way, what a back nine. It was a stripe show on the back nine.
It's fun. You make it fun for my kids.
It was so much fun, and I just love it. That's future of golf. And wait till somebody sees your daughter hit the ball as well. Avery McLaughlin, just remember that name, folks. Avery McLaughlin. If she wants to, LPGA bound. That's I'm telling you,
ridiculous,
she
but
is really good.
I'll say this: if you have a scholarship available, we're all ears.
Yeah, exactly.
We're all ears.
Email it to me, and I'll get it right over to him. Just send it, call us, do whatever you need.
Jay@jdelsinggolf.com. Our thanks to Ken Bentley, Isaac Bruce, Torry Holt, and as well Nick Ragone. And this has been great, Jay. And for fans that don't know, we are on 8 to 10 now every Sunday here on 101 ESPN. How do we wrap up the show?
Hit them straight, St. Louis. And Danny, thanks so much for this.
That wraps up another edition of Golf with Jay Delsing. Remember, Golf with Jay Delsing is heard every Sunday morning from 8 to 10 on 101 ESPN. To connect with Jay, log on to jdelsinggolf.com. This has been Golf with Jay Delsing.
Darty Business Solutions, the title sponsor of the Golf with Jay Delsing show, has been enhancing the business of our customers for the last 37 years. How do we do it? Through our expertise in technology, better use of data and analytics, artificial intelligence, and machine learning. We also roll up our sleeves and collaborate. We build applications and effectively communicate with our partner clients to bring their goals and objectives to the finish line. Our award-winning Access Point program is a community game changer. With nearly 100 students in the program, mostly young African-American females are making between $55,000 and $60,000 per year before graduating from high school. That's right, $55,000 to $60,000 a year as a high school senior. That's when they begin training. CEO Ron Darty believes talent is equally distributed, but access to the opportunity is not. So here is Access Point, providing more and more opportunity for those in and around our community. That's Daugherty Business Solutions, changing our community for the better.
The Legends of Golf return to St. Louis in 2023. You won't want to miss one of the strongest fields in golf. Ernie Els, Steve Stricker, Bernard Longer, John Daly, and many more when they compete for the 2023 Ascension Charity Classic title, September 5th through the 10th at historic Norwood Hills Country Club. All proceeds benefit area charities. Together, we were able to donate over $1 million to those most in need last year. Visit AscensionCharityClassic.com.
Hello, friends. This is Jim Nance, and you are listening to Golf with my friend Jay Delsing.
You're listening to Golf with Jay Delsing on 101 ESPN. Every Sunday from 8 to 10, you'll get the biggest names in golf, updates on the latest equipment and innovations in the game, and tips from a PGA Tour professional. That's Golf with Jay Delsing, every Sunday 8 to 10 on 101 ESPN.